In today's video, we're going to talk about how to integrate HashiCorp Vault with Jenkins. If you've ever managed multiple Jenkins controllers at the same time, you probably also had to manage the same credentials across all of those controllers. In the past, you may have created scripts to manage those credentials for you, but now you're starting to think now is the time to integrate a centralized credentials management solution. In this video, we're going to be using HashiCorp's Vault as our centralized credentials management solution. Here's where we're starting today. I have a Jenkins LTS controller version 2.289.2. I also have an instance that is our agent. It is not currently hooked up yet to our controller. You'll see why in a few minutes. And we also have an instance that's going to be running our Vault server for us. Now, in today's video, there's lots of hands-on. So there is a link to a gist down in the description that will have all of the commands and also links off to the documentation that you may need in order to set everything up today. Now let's get back to our Jenkins LTS controller. When I installed it, I used install suggested plugins. In our example today, we will be using the HashiCorp Vault plugin as well. So in order to install that plugin, let's go over to Manage Jenkins, Manage Plugins, Available, and let's look for HashiCorp Vault. And the one that we're going to be installing is this HashiCorp Vault version at the time of recording 3.8.0. And this is the only plugin that we're going to be installing. So let's click on Download Now and Install after restart. And now that we're back, let's go ahead and log in. And let's verify that the plugin was installed. Now, the way to find that out is we'll go to Manage Jenkins, Configure System, and down just a little bit, we are going to find a Vault plugin. And we've got a Vault URL that we will fill in after a while, and also a Vault credential. So now we know at this point that our plugin is installed. We haven't configured it yet. We'll do that in a few moments. Before we do this configuration, the first thing that we need to do is actually go ahead and set up our Vault server. Now, as we go through this example today, as I'm setting up the Vault server, just know that this is being set up in a way that is production-like, but it is not production-ready. So let's get started on setting up our Vault server. So what I have is a shell into our Vault server, and what we're going to do to begin with is I need to do an export, just so I can actually get logged in and do the commands in a few moments. So when this Vault server was installed, it was done using a yum install, and the commands for that will be included down in the gist. So I'm just doing an export of the Vault address. This is a special environment variable that our Vault CLI will use. And since I'm running on the Vault server, I'm just exporting it as localhost :8200 or 127.0.0.1. So this is the first step. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to do a Vault operator init. And this takes just a couple of seconds, but once it completes, we're going to get a list of unseal strings and also a initial root token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this and stick it off to the side because I'm going to need this in our next couple of steps. Okay, so now that we've did this initialization, the next thing that we need to do is we need to unseal the Vault. And in order to do that, it gave us 5 unseal keys, but we need at least 3, excuse me, not that one. We need at least 3 to unlock the Vault. So if we were to reseal it, restart it, or if it was stopped, you have to give at least 3 of these to unseal the Vault. So how are we going to do this? We're going to say Vault operator unseal. And for me, I'm just picking the first 3. It doesn't matter which 3 of the 5 you pick. You just have to pick 3 of them. So I'm taking the first one, and we can see here that it's initialized and it's still sealed. Let's see what happens here. Let's do another unseal. Grab a second one. We're still sealed up. That's okay. And last one, grab our last unseal key. And now you can see that we are no longer sealed. Our sealed changed into false. We have a cluster name, cluster ID. Again, for what we're doing in our example today, it doesn't really matter. This is just a simple example that is production-like. It is not production-ready. So if you're not a Vault administrator, I'm not a Vault administrator. I'm just going through and setting this up in a production-like manner that you can follow along and maybe work with your Vault administrators if you already have a Vault administrator. One more thing that we need to do, because of some of the commands that we're getting ready to run, is we need to go ahead and log in to our Vault server. So we're going to say Vault login, and if you remember when we did our initialization, we have this initial root token. That's what we're going to use. So let's go ahead and use the token there. And you can see that we're now logged in. Next up, we need to create a credential in order for our controller to authenticate with the Vault server. And we can sort of see that here, that we need a Vault credential. But what type of credential? Vault recommends that you use an app role type of credential for any machine-to-machine communication. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we need to enable our app role auth. So that's simply done with vault auth enable app role. Now, if you had forgotten to do a Vault login, when you ran this command vault auth, you would have received a 403 or some variation of access denied. So make sure if you receive that access denied, make sure you were successfully logged in. Just like it says here, success, you are now authenticated. So we've done our vault auth enable app role. That's the first step. Next up, we actually need to create the app role credential. And the way that we're going to do that is by running this command. Now again, I am not a day-to-day Vault administrator, so if you are, you may be cringing right now, and that's okay, forgive me, life goes on. But if you're just trying to understand how this works in not development mode, because with the Vault server you can run in development mode, I'm trying to run in at least a reasonable facsimile of a production-like environment. But in this case, I'm saying vault write in this location, auth app role role, and we're giving it a name of Jenkins-role. I'm setting the token num uses to 0, so that means unlimited. So when this credential is created, when it is written, vault write, this token that's created will be able to be used an unlimited amount of times. Also, the secret that goes along with it is also the num uses of 0, which is also unlimited. And finally, we're going to be applying a policy in a few moments that has the name of Jenkins. Now, we have not created this policy yet, but I can go ahead and set up the policy right now and then create the actual policy a little bit later. So let's go ahead and press enter. And we can see here that data was written to auth app role role Jenkins role. But what does this mean? This doesn't really give us any of the information. We don't know what this token was for app role. Now we have to query Vault in order to get this information. So what we're going to do is we are going to go and extract the role ID from Jenkins role. So we're saying Vault read the path and then also including role ID. So the role ID that we need to start building our credential is going to be this. So I'm going to write this off to the side. And then finally, we cannot extract the secret ID. So like how we are able to do a Vault read to extract the role ID, we cannot extract the secret. But what we can do is we can reset it. And we do that by using Vault write. And we're saying, I want to do a Vault write for the secret ID of this path. So let's hit enter. And we can see here that the secret ID is this 8B string. So I'm going to make a copy of that. So now we have both our role ID and our secret ID that we can use to set up our integration inside of our Jenkins controller. Okay, now let's go ahead and flip back over to our controller and start setting everything up. Now, if you think about that environment variable that we set up when we did the initial settings for Vault, that was a 127 address. Well, from my Jenkins controller, I need to actually connect over to the exposed IP address, which in this case is 192.168.32.11. We're still listing on port 8200, which is the default port for Vault. Next up, let's go ahead and create our Vault credential. So I'm going to click on Add, Jenkins Provider, but the type that we want to create is a Vault app role credential, because remember, we just created an app role type of credential within our Vault server. So we have our role ID, which I need to go and grab. And we also have the secret ID, which was created when we did our Vault write. The path you can leave as the default because of how we created our credential. When we created our credential, we said Vault write app role. So app role is the default path. We don't need to do anything specific with namespace, but for my ID, what I'm going to do is I am going to create just a general name of Vault Jenkins role. So when the ID is Vault Jenkins role, and the description is also Vault Jenkins role. So let's click on Add, and then we're going to select Vault Jenkins role. So we've set a Vault URL. We've also set our Vault credential. But let's go ahead and click on Advanced, just so we can see some other things that are here. We're not going to make any changes to prefix path or Vault namespace because we've kept pretty much to a normal installation of a Vault server. I am going to change the KV engine version from 2, which is the default here, to 1. If you're not familiar with Vault server and what the engine version means, 1 means there's no history kept, and 2 means there's history kept. Now, in our example, we're just going to use and assume that it's going to be 1. I would assume also in a normal Vault installation, you would probably be using 2 so you can make sure passwords aren't reused, secrets aren't reused, whatever the case may be. But I'm just setting this to 1. We want it to fail if the path is not found. That is a default check. I'm also going to go ahead and skip SSL verification because at this point, I do not have SSL. If this was a real production environment for Vault, there would definitely be SSL, and I would want to verify my SSL certificates. But since this is just a test, I'm going to go ahead and check that. And the timeout is 60. I'm going to leave that as the default. So let's go ahead and click on Save. Now, next up, what we want to do is create a credential that we can use to connect from our controller to our agent. So typically in the past, you would create a Jenkins username password or Jenkins private key type credential on your controller and then use that credential to connect from the controller to the agent. But what I'm wanting to do here is I'm wanting to create a credential type of a username password inside of Vault, and we're going to use that credential to actually make the connection to our agent. So to get started, we're going to go back over to our shell, and let's go ahead and scroll back down here. Actually, let's do a clear. Much like how we had to enable for app role, we need to do the same thing for enabling secrets. So Vault secrets enable, we're going to give it a path of secrets, and it's a KV type, key value type. So let's go ahead and hit enter. So now we've enabled the key value secrets engine at secrets. So now that engine's ready to go. Next up, we need to create our credential. So let's take a look at the credential here. I'm writing a secret, Vault write, into the location secrets, creds, and vagrant. I'm just giving it the name of vagrant because I'm using vagrant boxes. My username is vagrant and my password is vagrant. So that's just what I would normally set up inside of a Jenkins username password credential would be vagrant vagrant. I'm doing sort of the same thing here by creating a Vault username password type key value store. Now let's see what happens here. So now we've correctly written our credential to secrets, creds, vagrant. Now we need to create a policy. Remember a few moments ago when we added a policy of Jenkins to our app role? Just because you have an app role credential set up does not mean that that app role has access to read your secrets. So we need to set up a policy that is going to allow our app role to access the secret. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to say vi Jenkins-policy. You can name it whatever you want, HCL. And what we're going to do is create a path and give it capabilities of read. Now, what is this path? This path is secrets creds vagrant. That is the path of the credential that we just created, that KV credential that we just created. And we're giving it the capability of read. So let's go ahead and just save this file. This file by itself does nothing. This next command is what's going to create that Jenkins policy for us. And what we need to do for that is Vault policy write, and we're giving it the name of Jenkins. So we're creating a policy named Jenkins, and we're saying use the Jenkins policy HCL file as the contents for what the policy of Jenkins is going to be. So let's go ahead and hit enter, and that's it. We've uploaded the policy Jenkins. So now that we've created that key value type credential, we've created the policy, now we're ready to create our credential within Jenkins. Now remember, this isn't actually creating the credential. It's going to be creating a credential that links to Vault. So this is the big difference here. In our app role credential that we created a few moments ago, that is actually a real credential that needs to exist on the Jenkins controller. That is where the authentication is happening. But what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be setting up basically a pointer from within our Jenkins controller to the location in our Vault server to be able to retrieve the credential that we just created for vagrant. So let's see how that works. Let's go to Manage Jenkins, Manage Credentials. Let's go here and add credential. So the kind that we need to create here is a Vault username password credential. But remember, everything that we just created was actually just a key value store. And we created that credential with a username equal vagrant and a password equal vagrant. So it's not so much that this is a user password credential that is inside of Vault, but we're accessing a key value store that looks like a user password credential. Okay, this will become more clear in just a few moments. So Vault username password credential. We're not going to do anything with namespace. We're not going to do anything with prefix path. We'll just leave those blank. For the path, though, we are going to be accessing secrets/creds/vagrant. Because, think back just a few moments ago, we created a secrets, creds, vagrant type of credential within the secrets key value engine. Follow so far? If not, keep watching. Notice also that we created a username and a password. Now you might be asking, okay, well, how did you know to pick username and password? Let's see what happens here. The username key is username by default. The password key is password by default. But those don't show up here. We could have made our key values here. This could have been anything. This could have been anything. But if it's not username and it's not password, you would have to put those in here. Once we save this, we'll come back and look at it and it'll make more sense. Now, within my Vault server, I am only using the key value engine version of 1. So I'm not doing versioning of my credentials at this point, so I needed to switch this from 2 to 1. And for my ID, what am I going to use for my ID? Let's use Vault-Vagrant. And I'm going to do the same thing for description. Now note this button down here. Test your Vault secrets retrieval. You want to do this to make sure that you're actually able to go and retrieve your secrets from Vault. Now think about this for just a second. Earlier on, under Manage Jenkins Configure System, we set up a Vault server, and we pointed it at an IP address :8200, and we set up an app role type credential against that URL. So that's what's going to be used to go and retrieve the value that we're trying to get here. And we can see here that we successfully retrieved username vagrant and the password. But you still may be saying, okay, how do I know that that was username and password up here? Let's click OK. And then let's go back into Vault Vagrant here real quickly. You can see here, once we hit save, it actually filled in both username and password for us within this configuration. Now here's the key part. This credential that is set up within Jenkins is not a real credential. It is a pointer at a path inside of our Vault server with the known key values, username and password, in order to populate the Jenkins credential with the values from our Vault server. It's a very slight distinction. Just keep that in mind as we move forward. Click on Save again. No changes necessary. Okay, now that we've created that Vault credential, let's go ahead and go set up our agent. So I'm going to say New Node, Agent 1, Permanent Agent. My remote root directory is Home, Vagrant, Agent. My label is Linux. I'm going to change my launch method to SSH. The host is Agent 1. Now let's take a look at our dropdown here, and we can see that it's Secret, Cred, Vagrant, Vault Vagrant. This is the credential that we just created. I'm going to change this to non-verifying just because of how I have the agent set up. And let's click on Save. We can see that it's launching, and if we take a look at our log, we can see that it goes through, it opens an SSH connection, it didn't verify, that's fine. And then the authentication was successful. So if we come back over to nodes, now we can see that Agent 1 is now completely online. Now, before we leave today, I want to go through and actually show you how to create a credential that can be used within a pipeline. So we just did this username and password that we're using to actually authenticate to our agent from our controller. But now I want to create a credential that we can use within the pipeline and then make a call to a secondary system to echo out so you can see what is being passed. So for the credential that we're going to be using in our pipeline, we're going to create a secret text type of credential. But if you think back to it for a moment ago, our credential is actually just in a key value store with a key and a value. In this case, it was username equal vagrant and password equal vagrant. In creating a secret text type of credential that you're used to inside of Jenkins, it's just going to be secret equals some value. And secret, much like username and password, is the expected value for the key. So let's go ahead and set this up. Let's go back into our shell here. And we're going to say vault write secrets creds. My secret text is going to be part of the path. And I'm saying secret equals ABC123. Very simple secret key value pair. Notice there's only one item here, secret equals. Think back to the previous one that we just did was username equals and password equals. And this one is just secret equals. So let's go ahead and hit enter here. And that's done. But let's think back to the policy that we had a few moments ago. Let's pull that back up. We had secrets, creds, vagrant. But now we just created a new secret that has a value of secret equals. So how do we do this? Well, fortunately, we can turn this into a wildcard. So what this means is any credential that's stored underneath secrets creds will be able to be read by the app role that we've already created. So just by changing the explicit secrets creds vagrant to secrets creds star, now means that our app role credential will have the ability to read anything from that secrets creds location. So let's go ahead and save this. And then last one is we actually need to apply that policy change, because before it was explicit, now we're making it a wildcard. And we said vault policy write Jenkins policy HCL. And we can see here that that policy was uploaded. And what happens is that's just actually uploaded in place. So it replaced what was already there. Next up, what we need to do is go ahead and create our secret text type credential, but it's not going to be the Jenkins secret text, it's going to be the Vault secret text. So let's go back over to our controller, click on Configure, whoops, wrong place, Dashboard, Manage Jenkins, and Manage Credentials. Let's go back in here and say Add Credentials. The kind that we're going to be using is a Vault Secret Text Credential. Remember, we're not going to be doing secret text, we're doing Vault secret text because we want to reference that credential that we just created. Again, much like before, don't worry about namespace or prefix path. What we need to do is grab our real path, which is secrets, creds, my secret text. The vault key that we had there was secret. Remember, it was secret equals ABC123. I'm going to leave this blank for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and switch this down to 1, and we'll come back and revisit this in just a few moments. The ID and the description are going to be Vault Secret Text. Let's click on Test Vault Secret Retrieval, and we can see that successfully retrieved secret by key. I'm going to click OK. Let's go back into that one more time. Look at the update, and we can see here that the vault key was filled in with secret. So secret is the default vault key for the Vault Secret Text type of credential. Okay, so now that we've created this secret text type credential, let's go ahead and create a pipeline real quick just to see how to use it. So I'm going to say New Item, and I'm going to say Test Job, Pipeline, click OK. Let's paste in what I have here. I'm saying Pipeline Agent Label Linux. Remember, that's the label that we gave our agent that we connected with using our Vault-based username password credential. And we're wanting to run a curl post against a server that's running at 119.80.80, and I'm wanting to pass in an X custom header of my secret. Okay? But I don't see where my secret is. There's no place that my secret is defined. So what we need to do here is we need to check our pipeline syntax. Let's go to With Credentials. And the binding that I want to use is a Vault Secret Text Credential. The variable that I want to use is going to be my secret, because that would be the variable that we want. And the credential, since we only have one, then it's already selected for us. Now let's click on Generate Pipeline Script. And what this is saying is, with credentials, I'm going to do a vault string. So vault string maps back to the secret text vault credential. We're using the credential ID of Vault Secret Text, and it's going to be loaded into a variable of my secret. So let's go ahead and copy that, go back over to our step, paste that in, and then also I need to close up this. So we're going to be posting, and then we're going to take a look at what happens with this my secret credential. Click on Save. Click on Build Now. So as the job runs, we can see that the masking supported pattern matches of my secret, since we're using with credentials, my secret is going to be masked out here. Now this is an echo server, and we can see that our X custom header that we passed over is being masked out here. However, let's go take a look at the actual server and see what was received. So if we go back and take a look at the server that's running here, we can see that the X custom header is set to ABC123, which is the value that we set within our Vault server. So why would you want to use HashiCorp Vault instead of the native Jenkins credential types? First off, systems such as HashiCorp Vault give you the ability to easily apply rotation policies to any of the secrets that you create. Secondly, since Vault is being run centrally, it gives you an easy way to secure and audit all of the credentials within your organization. And finally, we started the video with this premise. What happens if you need to maintain credentials across numerous Jenkins controllers? By using a system such as HashiCorp Vault, you can easily manage a credential in a single place that can be made available to all of your Jenkins controllers. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us on Twitter at CloudBeesDevs. If this video was helpful to you, give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to CloudBees TV yet, why not? Take a moment, click on that subscribe button, and then ring that bell, and you'll be notified anytime there's new content available on CloudBees TV. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.